All right. Good morning, fam. Happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Coming at you from the Big Apple. We finally arrived last night after many delays on our flight, but the girls and I made it to New York City here visiting my daughter for the weekend. Yeah, so exciting uh, times to get to hang out with my daughter this weekend and the granddaughters. But before we do that, or before I do that, I going to be here with you today trading the opening hour, and then I have a session in the Mastering the Trade room today. And then the rest of the day, I'll be around, but quiet, more quiet maybe than typical, just because I'm at someone else's house. And yeah, but anyway, let's get started like we do every single day, and that is looking at the futures chart from a top down approach, beginning with that weekly chart going all the way down to today's blueprint. First off, looking at the markets this morning, ES is slightly down about 6 points, sitting at 75.83 right now. Honestly, I'd call it flat. The NASDAQ is down 123, about a half a percent, whereas the Dow is up 52 points. So a little bit of a divergence there, with the NASDAQ being red, the Dow being green. But you know that the NASDAQ really had its rally day yesterday. So let's take a look at this weekly chart that hasn't changed. We're just at the top of the choppy area. For the last 3 weeks, we have made higher lows so far. And that is assuming that today we do not take out last week's low. Now, last week's low was 73.98. As long as we don't drop about 200 points today, then I can confidently say that for the last 3 weeks, we're making higher lows, and we're not making higher highs each week, but we are getting stuck right here at or around 75.90 by 76.48 or 49. So we are at the top edge of the chop. We are at that 75.90 level that each week that we have tested it, we pulled back from it. All right. So going into today, I need to be aware of that. The immediate support on the weekly chart is going to be the weekly 9 EMA, which right now is sitting at about 74.30. Then below there, our demand zone and our bull channel, the 236 and the 38.2. Let's look at the daily chart. The daily chart finds price back up at that daily supply zone that was created on June the 5th. It has been tested many times, but it is still proving to be more of a rejection than what bulls can handle. That means there are more sellers in between 75.90 and 76.48 than what there are buyers. So each time we come up here, we turn down from here. The area of demand that is below is 75.23.75. By the low a couple of days ago, this week's low, 74.68 and a half. I'm looking for buyers at or around 75.25. I'm looking for sellers right at or around where price is at. The only thing we need to do is not try to predict where price is going, but we need to know where we're looking to be a buyer, where we're looking to be a seller. There is a level of support before the demand zone down here, and that's going to be in the form of the daily 9 EMA. That's at about 75.50. I'm just going to round up, give me an easy number to remember. 75.50, an important level here on the daily chart for the ES. So I want to make sure that I have some sort of level on my blueprint if I am looking at the blueprint that is going to represent where this daily 9 EMA is at. And I will tell you that today's daily edge mid is right around there. Okay. All right, let's look at the 4-hour chart, which not a lot is different here. A nice imbalance candle that was created yesterday morning. We all traded that together. We know that we came down, we found the buy zone, and we popped up very nicely. Had a very strong day to the upside yesterday. And then overnight, we have pulled back and really more just digesting that move, in my opinion. That because there's an imbalance candle here, 75.44 and a quarter. Remember, 75.50 is a daily 9 EMA. So you got some confluence there with the EMA. You got some confluence with the imbalance candle. And so that area again is an important area for support today. As far as the inside and up or the demand zone, the immediate demand zone on this 4-hour chart is going to be right here at 75.44 and a quarter down to the low 75.25. All right. So watching that area right below there, you have another inside and up. It just doesn't have as powerful of an imbalance candle, not like this candle or this candle. Okay. So immediate demand zone is going to be in my head 75.50 to 75.25. This is the immediate spot I would be looking to be a buyer there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my alert at or around that 75.50 level. That way, if it goes off, I will know to look to be a buyer. All right. The intraday chart looks something like this. First off, your supply zone, I've went over it. It's on the daily chart, it's on the 4-hour, it's on the 2-hour, and it is weekly ledge resistance. All right. That is the sell zone this morning. This zone has been tested multiple times. Please be aware that if price pushes up into this sell zone and you're going short, that is a counter trend trade at, in a zone that has been tested multiple times since it was created over a month ago. Okay. When a zone has been tested multiple times, it gets weaker and weaker with each test. The reason that happens is because if supply is a big order block of sell orders. Each time price comes up and tests that area, there is sell orders being filled. So then there are less sell orders there. When the sell orders run out and the buy orders overpower the sell orders, then price can continue higher into the zone. Okay. All right. Immediate support. You got a little bit of a imbalance. Nice little pop here. It's not an imbalance candle, but it is a larger candle than these little small candles here on the 2-hour, and that's at about the 75.75 level. I have that as a target if I was short from like the upper daily edge or from this supply zone. This would be a target for me. Then below there, I have a 75.65. This is just a Fibonacci level running the most recent uptrending move up to the high. That 75.65 is the 23.6. Then the 38.2 is going to be down at my first buy zone. Now, that's my first buy zone because remember the 4-hour imbalance candle, but it's also a key Fibonacci zone as well. So, my buy zone this morning I have set at 75.45 to 75.08. I do have an alert just above 75.50 to be watching for the buy. Okay. If I'm short below the PMZ, my targets are 74, 65, and 55, and then the buy zone, the ultimate target down here. If price were to drop and just tank, I do have a lower buy zone below at 74.94 by 74.39. Okay. The PMZ, the pre-market zone, is a day trading indicator. All right. A day trading indicator that we use to trade when price is between a buy zone and a sell zone. What that means is this. Hold on, let me hide this study so that it's out of the way. What that means is this: the PMZ is going to print on the chart, and any chart that has pre market price action will print a PMZ if you have the PMZ indicator. Right now, the ES-PMZ is very narrow. It's 2 points wide. The top is at 75.81 and the bottom is 75.79. Right now, price is inside of this PMZ, and I'm just going to roughly draw it out here. So as I'm talking about it, you will understand a little bit better. Okay, this box will print right here. Right now, because we're opening below the line in the sand, it would print as a red rectangle. It represents a buy zone or a sell zone. If price is above it, like that, it represents a buy zone. If price is below it, it represents a sell zone. That was a beautiful buy up through the first target. The gold line on my chart is the 15-minute 8 EMA. So that would have been a first target area right here, your upper daily edge, your line in the sand, and that 8 EMA. Then next target is the sell zone, and that's right where we popped to here. Okay, so that's how you treat the PMZ as a buy zone. If price is above it, on a retrace back to it, you can take the aggressive approach, which is price is above the PMZ. As soon as price retraces to the PMZ, I go long. All right. If I am taking an aggressive approach on just a retrace touch of the PMZ, I use half allocation. The reason why I do that, I call this the hybrid approach. So, because we are in a bullish trend, the PMZ being a buy zone is with the trend. If it is the first time prices pulled back to it, I will take half of my allocation on the aggressive approach. Then I wait and watch price and see if I get confirmation to add to full allocation. I don't like catching falling knives. It's not my favorite thing to do, and I'm sure it's not yours. So, by only allocating a small amount on that aggressive approach, I am protecting my capital before I get actual confirmation that price is turning around and it isn't going to continue to drop. All right. So if price is below this PMZ, the PMZ is a sell zone. All right. So if I get a 5 minute candle that closes below the PMZ, then I am going to set an alert back at the PMZ. And if price pops up to it, I'm not taking an aggressive approach. The reason is because the trend is bullish. Treating this as a sell zone is counter the trend. I will still trade the downside even if the trend is bullish, but I wait for confirmation. That's the only way I take a counter trend trade. Okay, is I wait for confirmation. In a sell zone, my confirmation is a lower high followed by a break below the body of that candle. If I get that confirmation, I take the trade to the downside. I would be trimming here at or around 75, 74. Then we have the weekly edge, which is now support. It is an upper weekly edge, but it is now support. Then 65, 55, and all the way back down here to VWAP and the buy zone. And let me just make sure my VWAP, that isn't anchored right at all. All right, there we go. Okay. So that's how we trade the PMZ. They do automatically print on your charts 5 minutes before the bell. But for SPX, there is not pre market price action on toss. Therefore, I manually draw it on. Okay. I manually draw it on and I just use the ESPMZ and find the matching coordinates for the SPX. All right. Now let's look at the NASDAQ. First, a weekly time frame. The NASDAQ is weaker than the ES. So, in relationship to where the ES is right now, the NASDAQ would be up here. It is not. You can see it isn't. Okay. It is showing weakness, but we pulled back to the demand zone yet again, and prices are popping off of there. So far, we are above last week's close. Last week's candle was an inside candle. And as long as we close above 29,551, this week would be an inside and up. All right. But at the end of the day, you're just chopping in this range. We want to be a buyer towards the lower end of chop and a seller towards the upper end of chop. As far as the daily chart goes, yesterday, price actually reclaimed, got back above the daily 50 and the daily 21. That was a big day for the NASDAQ. But if you look at the actual movement over the last several days, basically this entire month, this is what it looks like, guys. And that's what you call stuck. Stuck like Chuck. All right. But we do have immediate resistance right where we're looking to open up on the NAS 29,960, right? Your support is going to be the daily cloud right here at right about where price is at. Then below there, you got a monthly edge mid, a lower daily edge, the daily 50. Watch this daily 50 today and see if it acts as support after a couple of times of testing it. And we have technically, we pulled back to the daily 50 here on July 2nd, again on July 7th, and July 8th, and July 9th. All those days touching the daily 50 at some point. If we pull back to the daily 50, we treat it as support because price is above it. That is 29,530. Look for support there. Look for support right at the 618. This is an important area to look for support on the NASDAQ if we see weakness today. So anywhere near that monthly edge mid could be an area to look for buyers to show up on the NASDAQ today. 4-hour chart looks something like this. We have supply here. That's where price came up and hit, completing the 618 to 887 trade. And we turned back from there. And just as simple as that, price came back to the supply zone that was created back on Monday. All right. And we have turned down from there. So far on these 4-hour candles, we are making lower highs, lower lows. Now, the 4-hour cloud is acting as support. Remember, monthly edge mid is an area that I am interested in really watching because of the daily 50. So I'm going to go ahead and create my alert there for the NASDAQ. Okay. All right, below there you can see the inside and up candlestick structure right around the 618. I look for if price were to drop below the uh, monthly edge mid, I'm looking for buyers to step in lower weekly edge to the low this week, and that is going to be about 29,424 to 28,905. Okay. Today's blueprint looks like this. Inside and down candlestick structure is what created the supply here. It is where price pushed up to and rejected. The big round number of 30,000 is really, really a big thing to watch on the NASDAQ this week, next week, so on and so forth, because it's a big psychological value, but we also created a lot of supply up in here. So bulls have their work cut out for them on the NASDAQ. It is weaker. It needs to get back above 30,000, and then it needs to hold 30,000 as support through this month. If it can't do that, then I believe we could just continue to chop around and it would be more sideways to down on the NASDAQ. All right, but you do have the pre-market low here at 29,717. That's what that level is representing on the day trading chart today. It is slightly above the daily edge mid. The daily edge mid or any edge mid we treat as an over under. If price is above it, it is support and we're looking for price to move back up to the upper edge. If price is below it, it is resistance. We're looking for price to move back to the lower edge. So notice right here you have a weekly edge mid. From a weekly time frame, we are at resistance because price is below it and has been below it ever since we sold off from it on Monday. All right. We tested it and we're pulling back from it. Now, when we test it again, that's a second test. You have your upper daily edge and that weekly edge mid right there. You have candlestick structure inside and down right there. All right. So just know when the NASDAQ opens, we are opening at that resistance. So immediate support 29,717. Then below there 29,601. You can see the larger candle here. My buy zone is going to be back at, remember I talked about the lower weekly edge. Well, you got a lower daily edge slightly above it. I can just move this line here up to that lower daily edge, just so it is included. But that zone is my first buy zone, 29,461 to 29,324. This is where I'm looking to be a buyer on NASDAQ. This is where I'm looking to be a seller on NASDAQ. The levels in between are targets, and it will also have a PMZ that I can use as a buy zone or a sell zone today. All right, and last but not least would be the Dow. Now the Dow is green today. It's up just over 100 points. It has been a relatively stronger than the NASDAQ. So far, this week's candle is looking to be an inside week. It's basically been like that most of the week. All right. We keep making higher highs, new all-time highs on the weekly candle on the Dow. So healthcare, financials, industrials, you're seeing some strength in names related to those sectors. And that's why the Dow is making new highs each week, unlike the NASDAQ, which is down towards the bottom of the chop. Okay. If we close inside this body, so if we close today on the Dow below 53,169, then this week is an inside week. That is, of course, unless we blow through the bottom of the last week's candle and we close below 52,173. In between here is an inside week, and it will make next week very important if we print an inside and up or an inside and down. We'll be watching that on the Dow. As far as the daily chart goes, there's your supply. Inside down, we have not tested it at all. Up here at 53,166, I would expect resistance all the way up to the all-time high 53,656. As far as support goes, you can see the imbalance area here where price did turn, and we've gotten a couple of up days. Watch this area on pullbacks to see if we make a lower low for this week. Notice the daily 21 is lined up with the current low this week plus the lower daily edge. That's going to be a key area before the demand zone down here. 4-hour chart looks something like this. It looks like yesterday, no, that would be Wednesday morning, we came down, we hit demand, and we have been pulling up since then. If I run some Fibonacci's, now we are in a bullish trend, but on the smaller time frame, this is the current last movement right here. Okay, notice the 618 and the supply lines up. Here's your 50 fib. Bulls are trying to get price out of this bear channel on the Dow. So important level 52,845. Can we hold above there? And then the next level 53,000. And of course your supply. Looking at the 2-hour chart and the day trading chart. The 618 of this current move is different than where it was. So I can remove this, okay? Because we made lower lows. There we go. All right. So you got your 38.2. I'm going to mark it as a level on the chart. It will be a level that bulls need to get price and hold price above. We are right there right now. That's lined up with the upper daily edge as well. So look for this to be support all the way down to this little wick low that was created right here. We're looking for support basically from where we closed yesterday or near the line in the sand to 52,845, looking for that to be support. Then just above the 50 fib, you have this big imbalance candle. I have to have that candle on there. I'm going to mark the pre-market high as a resistance area. But again, that 618 lines up with the supply zone. Okay. All right. So here is where I would look to be a buyer in the Dow today. Then you have demand below that we pulled back to already this week, and buyers stepped in. Above, this is where I would look to be a seller. I need to be aware of this 53057 though, because it is a big imbalance candle. Okay. The levels in between here simply represent targets on the way if you're taking a PMC trade. All right. All right. Let's look at SPX really quick. Yesterday, we made a little bit of progress inside of this supply zone. That was nice to see for bulls, 75.50, right? And we're at psychological values. We're in a supply zone. We're at the upper end of what has been chopped for 2 months. We are doing nothing but chopping right now, and we're at the upper end of it. So we are opening at resistance. Can the SPX actually make a new all-time high? This all-time high was created the first week of June. So for 5 weeks, we have not created a new all-time high. That is kind of a big deal because back here, all these weeks, we were creating new all-time highs, and then we just got stuck. So key levels to watch this morning is going to be 75.50 and 76.21 to the upside. Okay. Daily chart. We've been so stuck. This is the chop range, but right here on this pullback, we stopped pulling back to the lower end of the chop. That's why I'm calling this sideways to up, because you do have this wall of resistance here, but we are making higher lows. That's important. Okay, we're not making higher highs, but we are making higher lows. So, whereas the NASDAQ is in chop and it's just choppy, it's just chop, right? The ES and SPX at least are making higher lows. Each pullback is a little less deep. Okay, so on the daily chart, you do have a demand zone down here that not yesterday, but the day before on the 8th, we did pull back there. We took this great opportunity to again go long with XSP is what I use. You could have used SPX either way. A great trade to the upside and back to the top of this chop, this supply zone. Okay. All right, 4-hour chart, that 5618 Fibonacci, this imbalance candle, 74.50, all this buyers stepping in. We never even came back to this buy zone this week. We have a low on the week on SPX of 74.22 ish, right there at that 50 fib. And we have been rallying since. The key levels inside of this supply zone are going to be 75.50, 75.77, 76.05 because of this candlestick structure, and then the all-time high 76.21. Today's blueprint is going to look like that. I want you to understand that we are at resistance. This is an inside and down, and that's where price is at. But I don't want a colored box on my chart because I'm going to draw a PMZ on here, and I want to be able to see the PMZ. So the top of this area of resistance is still marked on the chart 51. This 75.61 is from the inside and down candlestick structure right there. The actual supply zone, you can see it. That was actually the test of it here inside. We gapped down, but I don't need the whole thing red because guess what? I already know we're at resistance and I am just moving the red box up as we make higher highs in it. That's all I've been doing. So we have inside and down right there, and we have inside and down right there. That gives me my actual sell zone for today 75, 77, 76, 21. Resistance at 51, resistance at 61. Let's talk about pullbacks and where we could look to go long. I'm going to tell you my actual buy zone that I would be comfortable with trading off of in the event that I'm not sitting in front of a screen is going to be down here. But I could have intraday scalp zones before that. And the way that I would mark that is by taking the current rally and throwing some fibs on there. And you're going to see that right about 75.20, the upper weekly edge, and the 38.2, this is the bull channel of this rally. That could be my buy zone, 75.19 to 7500. So if you're sitting in front of the charts, if you're actively managing and we get a pullback here near 75.20 to 7,500, I will be watching this for a buy zone. Okay. It's got the EMA cloud in confluence right there. It has it does not have the candlestick structure on the 2-hour chart, but it has EMA confluence and Fibonacci confluence. And I'm sure if I went down to smaller time frame charts, I could find the candlestick structure right there. Okay. So for that reason, actively managing, this is my first buy zone. Just setting and forgetting it, this is my buy zone. Okay. All right. Where's my 2-hour chart? Something happened. Uh, it decided, I don't know, my settings on my laptop have went away. And so now I'm getting all kinds of weirdness here, but yeah, there's the 2-hour. All right, so first place I'm looking to be a buyer actively managing it today is going to be the upper weekly edge 75.20 to 7,500. That means price would need to pull back about 23 points from where we closed yesterday. And currently we're sitting here flat as a fiddle. All right, so flat as a fiddle right here. But if we get a pullback of about 20, 25 points, it could put price in my buy zone. This is a zone that is uh, with the trend. So a hybrid approach for me, meaning a contract going long aggressive at the 75.20. And then for the remainder of my allocation, I would then wait for confirmation. As far as targets back to the upside at that point, you have an upper daily edge here at 75.40. I would look to take some profits there. And then, of course, 51 and 61, and then 77 to 76.21. All right. All right, that is the ES blueprint. And of course, I will be drawing a PMZ on this chart. If we pull back to a PMZ, if we close above it and we pull back to it, that would be make it a buy zone, and EMZ would be with the trend. So that trade would be a trending trade. That means for me, a hybrid approach, half allocation on just the retrace touch, and then the full allocation with confirmation on the trade. All right. I will be calling out the first hour live with you as I have been doing for the last 2 weeks while John has been gone. I'm doing my best to try to call out the futures and what's going on in the futures. And that way, people that are trading just SPX, you can still pay attention to it. It absolutely applies to the SPX. Um, and if I say, ES is pulling into a buy zone, um, that means SPX is as well, okay? Or if I say the NASDAQ and the Dow are both at support, well, guess what? The NASDAQ and the Dow are what moves the SPX, guys. That's the reality, okay? So if the NASDAQ and the Dow are both at support, the logical conclusion is SPX, you're looking for it to be at support and to turn around to the upside. Or if I say the NASDAQ and the Dow are at resistance, guess what? I'm looking for some resistance on SPX and for SPX to move to the downside. So if I'm long, that means I personally am taking profit. If I am looking to go short, it would be counter trend. Therefore, I would have to wait for that confirmation and then go short. All right. All right, so that's what we have for this morning. That's what I'm watching. As far as any other charts that y'all would like me to give you a day trading plan as I see it, you can go ahead and put it in the chat now, and I'll give you about 15 minutes, and I will look at and create a blueprint. JK, you threw your fibs the same place I did because I got 75.19 as well. So does anybody have a day trading chart that you want to look at before I get off of here? I'm going to drink my Turkish coffee. I don't know if y'all remember, but there is an absolute fabulous, fabulous Turkish coffee shop right. My daughter lives in some apartments on the Hudson, and you just leave her apartments and walk across the street. And there's an amazing Turkish coffee shop, and I love Turkish coffee. All right, let's look at MU. Now, I draw these charts, whether it be no matter what the name is. I'm going to use the 2 hour chart as my zones for day trades, buy zones and sell zones. So if I look at MU right here, I can see that I have a topping wick and a turn down right here at about 1008 by 1035. So the immediate sell zone for MU would be right about here. Okay. As far as the buy zone, I need to look down to the left and I find this imbalance candle. This is the low of that consolidation period before we made the imbalance candle. And so that is going to provide me with my buy zone intraday. Now, the PMZ will probably set up somewhere in between there. So, some important levels to note would be the lower weekly edge as well as the lower daily edge, the price is below. And then I would use this pre-market low. So my blueprint for MU would look just like this. the lower gray zones where I want to be a buyer, the upper gray zones where I want to be a seller, and these are targets in between. Okay. All right. Let me look. What was next chart? I saw SG2 would like QQQ. So QQQ, you can just use your what do you call it? NASDAQ chart, but we can do this together because it's always good practice, and it's always good for you to see it over and over again. That way you get comfortable with the levels. So here is the cell zone, right? I could shrink this one a little if I wanted and just use this 723.69 to 726.08 as the sell zone, but you can see we're respecting this weekly edge mid here, inside and down there at 721.60. So I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Here you got a little imbalance candle that was created yesterday. This would be the immediate place I would be looking for buyers, right? But then below there, I have an imbalance candle here and consolidation, and that is based and right around that lower weekly edge for this week. So this is a buy zone for me as well. Okay. So there you got your buy zone and your sell zone. I would mark the pre-market low and I would mark this lower daily edge. And that's going to give you some targets in between. All right. What does that say, Rad? TLT. Man, I haven't looked at TLT in forever. Golly. Oh, look, it hasn't really moved since the last time I looked at it. Oh, goodness. All right. Up into the left here is your imbalance candle. You got an imbalance candle. You got a lot going on all the way up to here. There's another imbalance candle. Okay. So anywhere from 85.17 to 85.78, that's where the imbalance or the selling pressure is, that is north of the current price. All right. The imbalance to the downside was created very recently, and it's going to be here at 84.20 to 84.03. Now, what I would do, just looking at this range so that I can have some upside targets before that sell zone, is I would draw my Fibonacci's from where we started moving down to the low. And I'm going to mark the 38.2, the 50, the 618 is really there at that imbalance. So no need to mark that. Okay. And then I can use this bottoming wick here as another target. So my buy zone is down here near 84.20 to 84. These are targets in between before the sell zone. Okay, Rad? SPY chart. So what I did with the ES and SPX is I just removed this current sell zone, but I left that top there. That's Monday's high. I do believe, I'm almost certain, because it is on my futures chart, my SPX chart. I'm going to assume it is on this SPY chart. So what I would say is this on SPY, it's going to be very similar to ES and SPX. You have imbalance right in here. Right? But then yesterday's pullback came down into this buy zone. is that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday's pullback. Came down here, right? Almost, not quite, but almost. And and we definitely rallied from there. So what I would do, Twins mom, just like I did for SPX, is I would know where the buy zones are based on Fibonacci as well. So for SPY, this is what it's going to look like for me. Okay. This is a potential buy zone if you're actively managing. Okay. If you're actively managing that area right in there. Lower daily edge, I'll go ahead and put a line there. Upper daily edge prices above it right now, look for it to be support. I got to put a line at that imbalance candle right there, 750.34, and then I'm going to do the pre-market low. And I'll put a line right on the upper daily edge, or I could put a line on the inside and down right there. Okay. And that's your supply above. Let me just make sure that that is accurate. You got some imbalance there. So I'm going to bring that down some. Okay. 754.37. That's what SPY chart would look like for me. I'm getting weird because I like Turkish coffee. Golly, Turkish coffee is delicious. But I love coffee. So I love the taste of coffee. Meta trying to pull back, James. You got it. Wow, Meta's up 4% today. Woof. Holy mackerel. Nice job, little Meta. I need more time. First off, 20 days. Who puts 20 days? I would have never put that. That's ridiculous. Ugh. All right. Here's where price is at. I want to know where that imbalance is up and to the left. And I can tell just by the candlestick structure. It's right here. And I would go all the way over because if you look, we just basically hung out here forever before we sold off. Okay. This is the immediate sell zone above where price is at right now. Now we're up 4% on Meta. So I love that you said you're looking for a pullback because that's kind of important. Being up 4%, I would also be looking for a pullback to buy. Now you can day trade this thing out of the PMZ. Okay. But here's your origin of this most recent move that actually started yesterday on Meta. Okay. So this is the buy zone down here, the origin of this move. Okay. I would draw Fibonacci's. You knew I was going to say that. I bet you anything. You knew that. Look at how you have confluence here at the bull channel. This is would be my pullback buy. If I'm not trading the PMZ, I'm trading this zone right here. Okay. That's what it would look like for me. And then wherever we make a high, I would use that as a target. All right. So true, Lorna. Bonds are absolutely going nowhere. I agree. I gave up trying to do anything with bonds a while back. Tesla chart really hasn't changed much. You got an imbalance right here. Be aware of that. 416 to 420. I know that's a big, huge, shocking surprise for Tesla. to have 420 mentioned. But really nothing changes on this chart for me. But there is the Tesla chart. So Janice, I'm given 2-hour time frame buy and sell zones. If it was swing trading zones, I would say just for a day or two. Yep, it definitely has cardamom in it, JK. I drink a lot of cardamom tea. I love cardamom. All right, let's see here. I think I went through all of the requests. Patrick wants to look at GC. Now, GC, I have not updated in a while, but we'll see if, as a matter of fact, I don't even have a day trading chart on it. So let's take a look. Let's find the imbalance. You see it? You see it right there? On a pullback. Now, this is not a fresh zone. All you have to do is look further to the left and see that this is not fresh. But nonetheless, this is the most recent buy zone that was created on the 2-hour chart. Now look up and to the left, and if you have any question about why price is turning down from 31 or 41.34, this is your answer. Okay. Oh, that's close enough. It's not, it doesn't have to be an exact science, guys. So this is your immediate sell zone here. There you go. In between, you can just use this daily edge mid or use this pre-market low. You can run you some Fibonacci's here, but I don't think they're going to give us much different levels. Yeah, there's your 38.2 and your 618 lines up with that imbalance candle. Those are the two that I use. So that's what we got. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off here, take a little break for 25 minutes, and then I'll be back on 5 minutes before the bell's going to ring. Much love.